Ponderosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about Married at First Sight. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. I'm here today and I want to catch up with my Married at First Sight reviews because I have been watching. I didn't finish reviewing the weddings, but I'll include little bits and pieces of things that I missed from the weddings. This is our catch-up video right now. I wanted to start with episode 5 because the honeymoons almost always bring a certain level of drama because these are strangers that do not know each other and they're going on vacation with each other. And usually vacations are the make or break of relationships. They say you learn a lot about a person when you travel with them. So I'm going to start with Nicole and Chris. Nicole and Chris have great chemistry. I think it's mainly because both of them really want this. I think both of them came into this being completely open and not super picky, not choosy, you know, I don't want this, I don't want that. No, they came in with an open heart, like, I'm going to give this person a chance and I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I'm on The Bachelor and I get to eliminate somebody every week until I get my perfect match. No, that's not what this show is about. And I feel like a lot of people that come on here have that confused. But I feel like Nicole and Chris have the perfect attitude when coming into a situation like this. They're both open. They're both willing to communicate their feelings. But I ain't gonna lie. I'm afraid that they're trauma bonding. I'm not even gonna lie because they're both telling these very traumatic stories of, you know, their dealings in their past relationship. Like Nicole talked about in her past relationship, how he put out cigarette butts on her. Really toxic, terrible, you know, abuse in relationships. And they seem to be bonding over that. And I'm that's the only thing I'm really nervous about with them. But I do love that they feel comfortable enough with each other to share that. You know what I'm saying? Nicole also shared that in her past she was a hothead, and we'll see if that's still in her past, because to me, Nicole, I could see in her that she still has a little bit of that fiery, spicy, you know, sassy attitude. So we'll see when they get into an argument, does that come out. Now this is a big red flag with them. She says she never wanted children because she never wanted to be tied down, but she claims to be open to it now, but it just doesn't seem like she has a desire for children. And he always wanted children. He said he wants 2 kids. And, you know, that's not something they're going to discuss, you know, in depth right now, because they said they're going to revisit it in a year. But I do think that's something you should discuss in depth right now, because you're going to just be in deeper in a year. And I would just hate for Nicole to have these children and then be resentful towards Chris, or be resentful towards her children or motherhood because you didn't actually want to be a mother. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that you should really consider and talk about. I want to put it on the experts for matching them, but I have to put it on the contestants themselves to a certain degree, because you saying I never wanted kids but I'm open to it, I feel like that's a no with kids. I feel like, and if so, I feel like both people should say I'm iffy about kids. You know what I'm saying? But if one person's saying I definitely want kids and the other person is like I'm iffy, I feel like they should not be matched. And then in episode 6, they discussed their intimate life. Nicole is somebody from day 1 that said on day 2, night 2, okay, she was trying to get down with the get down, but she decided to take it slower because she wants to get to know him. She doesn't want to lead with intimacy. He said he had a relationship in the past where they rarely ever had intimacy at all, and then he had a relationship where they did all the time, and it was to band-aid their issues, and he wants to have a happy medium. And she had a similar situation in the past, except her partner was cheating, and so they're on the same page with that. Once again, trauma bonding. Then they have a conversation about cleanliness in the household, and the thing about Chris, he said, I can't stand for dishes to be in the sink, but you only wash your laundry once a month and your sheets once a month, and your dog sleep in the bed with you. So how you have the nerve to be high and mighty in one area, like, oh, I can't stand no dishes in the sink, but you don't even wash your clothes. I hope you have at least 30 plus pairs of drawers. He was like, you know, I'm scared that my laziness is gonna be a turnoff for you. And she's like, oh no, you work. And it's like, Nicole, you work too. So are you gonna be okay with being his maid? I don't know. I feel like they're kind of living in La La Land because they're on a honeymoon. Even though I do feel like they're very compatible, but I feel like she's kind of glossing over some things that are major. And plus, both of them have never lived with someone else. So this is going to be like a whole new world for both of them. Nicole is bending over backwards for Chris. I feel like Nicole is going to bend over backwards for Chris, and it's going to come to a head at some point. But you know what's crazy? Clint thinks that Nicole is going to run all over Chris. That could happen. I could see that happening. But it's crazy how that's playing out now. Like, I don't see that at all. But Clint made it very clear that he doesn't feel like Chris can handle Nicole whatsoever. And it's like, Chris, you're only proving his point because you were offended by what he said, but you didn't even say nothing to him. You said something in the confessional. So he might have a point with that. Let's move on to Dominique and Mackinley. Let's rewind back to the wedding. I was very concerned because, let's just be honest, Mackinley is a white man and Dominique is I believe she's biracial, but she shows up in the world as a black woman, right? I was just scared for Dominique and how she was going to be received by his side of the family. You know, we live in America. We have to be honest about that. And there are people that do not agree with interracial relationships. So I'm not saying that his mom doesn't approve of Dominique because she's black. We don't know that. I would have to see more, but she just didn't approve of the situation in general. She didn't want him to do this, period. She even offered him, how much? Like $50,000 not to do it? Child, I might have had to take that money. But $50,000, I might have had to reconsider. I ain't even gonna lie. It threw me off when Dominique was like, you know, I just want to be accepted for who I am. Like when it came to race, and the mom kind of like brushed it off. I was like, oh, I was a little concerned about that. But her mom was the one who was doing the most to me. Like, you the one who signed her up for Married at First Sight for her to be married to a stranger, but then you want to be like, well, I don't know if he's gonna be Jeffrey Dahmer. He was a nice guy too. Girl, you the one who signed her up for it. You know, mamas, they give the boyfriend a third degree, of course, especially when the dad's not in the picture. But you literally put her in this position. And then the other thing for me, she couldn't even remember the man's name. When she first met him, she could not even remember his name. And I was just like, Dominique, you act like you such an old soul. But I've seen all the episodes up until this point. I have not seen old soul whatsoever. You give 25 or however old you are. You totally give that all day. So I believe the physical attraction was there between the two. But I feel like his personality is what's turning her off in this situation. And I feel like hers is eventually going to turn him off as well. I feel like he's going with the flow right now. But I feel like she constantly nitpicking him, which I ain't gonna lie, he has some things about their personality that would turn me off as well, but she constantly is poking and nitpicking and pointing out all his downfalls. They're on their honeymoon and they're in Jamaica. Dominique is very adventurous. She wants to get out. She wants to do excursions. She wants to have fun, right? He's the complete opposite. He seems like he's a homebody. He's introverted. He doesn't take a walk on the wild side, and he ask the experts for someone who's going to pull him out of his shell, but that's not him really. He doesn't like to get out and do the wild and crazy adventures. So every time they get ready to do something, he is complaining, or he's talking about, do we have to, or, you know, constantly coming off as being negative and almost naggy about it, even though it's under the guise of a joke. She didn't like the fact that he was being so closed-minded the entire time with every little thing that she wanted to do, because she was excited to do it. So if somebody is constantly, I don't want to do it, that's going to get on your nerves, especially you as a man. That's going to constantly whining. That's going to be a turnoff for a woman. And then on top of that, he has this nervous tick where he constantly wants to joke. I feel like he's telling these jokes because he's nervous and he wants to lighten up the situation. And it's just probably in his personality to be a jokey person. But your jokes are falling flat. They ain't funny. You're no Dave Chappelle. They're not landing. And you're joking that you've been riding horses ever since you was a little kid. But in actuality, you've never ridden a horse. So it's one thing to be like, yeah, I'm a regular Zorro on a horse. But at the end, you have to say, I'm just playing. I never rode a horse. So she just met you. You're a stranger. To her, you just lied. That's not, because it's not funny and it's not the truth. So to her, you're just lying. By the time they get to episode 6, she said her attraction to him was at a 6.5, like physically, but the romance is at a 3 or 4 because they just not clicking. And when she talked to her mom, she just said, I'm just like, he getting on my nerves with all this joking and complaining. Like, we in Jamaica, we need to be having fun, and you sitting up here bringing the mood down. He rather just go on the beach and chill. And I'm in Jamaica. I'm taking full advantage of this. In the past, I haven't been the most adventurous person, but if I was in Jamaica, I'm doing everything. I'm going everywhere. Even if I'm scared, even if I'm nervous, I'm doing it. So by the time they get to the excursion where they're riding horses in the water, you know, she's a country girl. She loves to ride horses, and when they got in the water, got a little messy. She liked that, and he hated it, complained the whole time. Now I would have been upset too if the horse just boo-booed everywhere. I would have been upset about that too. Finally, she confronted him about the complaining and how it was getting on her nerves, and she told him the rating that she gave him, a 3 or 4. And, you know, here he go joking again. You know, they were doing like the little confessional camera, and he was like, well, I guess we had a good day besides me being there. And she took offense to it. I'm thinking he meant like, yeah, you would have had a better time had I not been here. It was kind of like a self-deprecating joke, but she took it as an insult. And, you know, she was so upset that she abruptly ended the video. Like, I can't believe you said that. He ended up apologizing for joking too much and coming off as negative. I didn't mean to mislead you with the jokes. He was trying to convey to her that he was trying these new things for her, and he's glad that she's pulling him out of her shell. But she told him she don't like the excuses, okay? And if you're going to do something, just do it, because it brings down the mood when you start complaining. But she ended up accepting the apology, and but she just don't want him to give any more excuses. I'm not feeling it between those two. They're not clicking at all. I thought maybe in the beginning at the wedding they seemed like they would, you know, have a little chemistry, but their personalities are not meshing at all. Let's move on to Jasmine and Airris. So I have to mention, at their wedding, Airris claimed that he was attracted to Jasmine. Like, even when he first saw her, he clapped, and I thought that was like wild, because I've never seen a man clap before. So I'm like, oh, he must really be attracted to her. And then when she got up to him, he was like, oh, you're tall. And so he almost said it like it was a negative thing, in my opinion. Oh, you're tall. And then time is going on. He's rarely making eye contact with her. And I'm like, is he just nervous? Like, the lack of eye contact is very prominent for me with him. Like, I feel like with other people, he seems to be able to make eye contact better. But with her, it just doesn't seem like he makes much eye contact with her. And also, he just has a very monotone voice. He's just like, if I were to be in a relationship with him, he would probably get on my last nerve, because he just doesn't really convey emotion well. He said that he was the reason why 80% of his relationships didn't work. That it was the wrong timing, and he was immature, and he was just quick to ghost people. So they would be nice girls, or, you know, they would be a catch or whatever, but he wasn't ready, and so he would ghost them. And I think that's a huge red flag. She said in relationships that she walked away a lot because she wasn't getting the full commitment that she was looking for in relationships. Like, she said she had been in long-term relationships. They would move in with each other, but they would never actually pull the trigger and, you know, marry her. And that's what she wanted long-term, so she would walk away from the relationships. And also, she's a workaholic, and that would also get in the way of her relationships. He doesn't really commit, and she's looking for commitment. This is not gonna be no good combination, okay? Her mother has cancer, and so while they were on the honeymoon, he claims that he would be supportive about visiting her mom while she's getting chemo. And I thought that was very sweet. I truly hope that he lives up to that. I hope he's not just saying that, because that's actually a really beautiful thing. They connected at their wedding. So she connected with his family, he connected with her family, and I thought that was cute. She says because her mom is sick, she kind of shuts down sometimes, but she doesn't want to shut him out. But I also feel like that is a lot on a new relationship. Now, I'm not saying that she doesn't deserve love because her mom is sick, but I do feel like for this to be a brand new relationship, that might cause a strain. What is his obsession with her feeding him? Like, he constantly is asking her to feed him, do this, do that. It's like he be ordering her around a little bit, like, and she just does it. And I feel like it's because, you know, they're on the honeymoon. She, you know, just met him. She's being sweet. I might call you my king, but I am not your servant. So later on, they're having dinner, and just out of nowhere, he's like, what's your favorite sexual position? Like, just out of nowhere, just plop, dropped it on the table. But he just kept going on and on about it, and it was a little bit uncomfortable because you could tell, like, she was like, okay. But I do think in the back of her mind, she was intrigued. That is something that intrigued her, you know. And he even said that he would like to be a mentor for her in that area. I'm just like, this man is so cocky. He was like, it's giving classy and she needs to give whore. And I'm just like, did you really just say that, like, on camera? Like, what? I don't know. I feel like he was a little pushy about it, and when he didn't get the reaction he was looking for, he felt some type of way. And then later on, when they were having a conversation, he dropped a bomb, this is the way she described it, that he's never been in love, and he's been in, you know, a 1.5-year relationship, never fell in love. She asked him, would he need to be in love to say yes on decision day? And he was like, you know, I wouldn't know because I've never been in love. So I don't know. I do think that kind of is a red flag because Airris is 39 years old. It's like, do you not know what love is? Like, are you afraid? Is it because you've never seen love in action? You have your guard up, you have your wall up, you're not open to falling in love. Like, why did you come on this show? Is that why you came on this show? Because you want to experience love? But later on, they meet up with all the other couples and they're discussing their relationships. And Clint brought up the fact that he said that he was going to blow her back out. Now, this is before they met. At the bachelor party, he said he was going to blow her back out. And I'm just like, if I heard that my husband was talking like that, I would be so embarrassed. She was kind of like thrown off by that. Not because of what he said, but because, you know, clearly he's this sexual person, but he hasn't tried her. So she's just very confused. Like, they kiss each other. Like, we see them kiss, you know, already, but he hasn't really gone there with her. He said that usually he leads with intimacy, and this time around he's trying to, you know, take it slow, and he's trying to see it as a good thing, but that's not how he normally operates in relationships. And I feel like he told on himself with the Nicole and Chris assessment. And when he was talking to Jasmine later, he was like, well, Nicole must not like Chris because she said that she normally likes to, you know, go there. She wanted to go there on the second night, but she decided to wait. So she must not like him. And she was like, well, you basically, that's exactly what you're doing. And he was like, oh yeah. Well, maybe, you know, it's different when you're actually in the situation. Like, you told yourself that's your mindset on the situation. And finally, you know, he was honest. I don't think he was honest to her face at this point, but he basically said that he was having friend vibes with her. He sees her as a friend. He told the men that she thinks of him as a 12, but he only looks at her as like a 4 or 5 when it comes to attraction. I was like, you think very highly of yourself, even though he might be 100% right. She does seem like she's very attracted to him, but honey, you ain't a 12. He talking about how he normally goes for like a Meg Thee Stallion, somebody with a big booty. And it's like, but would a Meg Thee Stallion be attracted to you? You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to be realistic about these things. Now, I'm not saying force attraction. I'm not saying attraction can't grow. But with someone as superficial as Airris, I just don't see him. I don't see that attraction growing because he is focused on him not being attracted to her and only seeing her as a friend. And I just feel bad for Jasmine because I feel like her feelings are really going to end up being hurt. And she even said to herself, she's scared to give her all because she's scared it's not going to be reciprocated. And usually she's like a hopeless romantic. She falls all in on relationships. I can't even blame her, y'all. It's not looking good for them either. Y'all, these couples, they falling flat. So let's move on to Clint and Gina. So they're on their honeymoon. They end up, did the tour guide get lost? Like, what was going on? Like, I would be so mad if I signed up to go on an excursion and whoever was driving me got lost. Like, this is literally your job, is to get me there safe. I feel like both of them were very good sports about it though. Like, He was being funny and sarcastic the whole time. You know, they kept the mood light because it would have been easy to get upset in a situation like that. The chemistry isn't necessarily there, but they do have a very good banter. They don't really have like many awkward moments. They're able to really talk with each other as far as we can see. But they end up having this conversation and she completely burst his bubble and told him that she does not see any like physical chemistry between them. And you could tell that really took a hit to his ego. You could tell that he felt differently. He probably did feel like they had chemistry, or he felt like they had a little bit more than what she said. And it kind of like, that kind of deflated him. I feel like he agreed only because he didn't want to feel dumb in a situation for feeling differently. She said that attraction grows over time and she's being open-minded. And I feel like she should have just left it at that. But she just had to open her big mouth and go on and say, well, I'm usually not attracted to redheads. I'm not attracted to gingers. Like, why did he need to know that? And she also said that to his family when she met them. Why do you feel the need to say that? You signed up for a show where someone else picked your person. If you were going to be picky and talk about what you don't like, you should have went to a matchmaker and told them all your criteria and have them pick the perfect person. But this is not that show. You're supposed to be open. You're supposed to, have an open mind. But you're constantly talking about what you don't like. I don't know. I just thought that it kind of came out of nowhere and it was unnecessary. Even though she said, yeah, I dated a ginger, I dated a redhead in the past and I wasn't attracted to him at first, but the attraction grew over time. It was just unnecessary. And I feel like that would make anybody feel a certain type of way. It would be a hit to anybody's ego. And then later on, when they meet up with the other couples, she once again brings up the lack of physical attraction between them in front of everyone. So he kind of jumped off on that and was like, well, I normally go for slender, athletic built women. That's what I normally go for in relationships, since we're talking about what we normally like or what we don't like. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that he was being nasty. I don't think he was body shaming anybody. He didn't say I don't like fat women, I don't like thick women. He didn't say that. He just said what he normally likes. But when he opened up his mouth and said that, all the women in the room immediately got offended, because they took it personal. I don't know why the women got so offended, because I don't think he was being nasty. I don't think he was being negative. Even if you didn't take offense for yourself, if you're mad for Gina is not big. I feel like she has a shape that a lot of people would love, like the smaller waist and thicker hips and, bigger boobs. I feel like she has a body type that a lot of men are attracted to. And he didn't say that he wasn't attracted to her. He said what he normally goes for. And, he even said right after that, and she said she don't like redheads. I feel like that should have canceled everybody's madness out, because didn't you hear where he just said she told him what she don't like? So I just didn't understand where all the outrage was coming from with that. And maybe they didn't have the full story of how she just told him straight up, she's not attracted to him because he has red hair, but the attraction can grow. But why can other people have opinions of what they like and don't like, but when Cliff says it, everybody goes off the deep end? Because Kirsten in that same conversation said she didn't like bald heads. She wasn't attracted to Shaq because of his bald head, and nobody got up in arms. Is it because nobody else there is bald? So the women meet up, the men meet up, they're discussing what he said, the women going in on him, talking about how mad they was, Dominique going off, Nicole going off, Kirsten, like everybody's going off about it. Gina didn't even have a chance to say how she felt for real, because everybody else was so mad for her. I mean, she was offended too, but everybody was going off. I feel like they was really stirring the pot with that and getting her really riled up. The men discussed, what he said. Mackinley, for some reason, was going hard defending Gina and talking about, man, you're crazy, she's sexy. And I'm just like, hold up now, that's his wife. Like, I thought that was a bit much. Like, I get you're trying to tell him that, she's attractive, but you going pretty hard for her. You don't even know the full story. And also something that stuck out to me is that Clint talked about how Gina constantly is talking about her business, constantly, because when we do see them talk, she is constantly talking about her business. And I understand, being passionate about your business. I've had my own business, and so I understand it takes a lot of your time and you have to really put your all into it. But that is something she always goes back to, and it's something that's been annoying him. Like, let me get to know you as a person and not you as a businesswoman. And he almost feels like she came on this show to promote her business. And y'all, I wouldn't be shocked, because she is constantly talking about that business. I don't get genuine from her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I could be wrong. Once again, Mackinley was defending her with that, well, I have my own business too. Like, do you want Gina? Do you want Gina? Because we know you like boobs. We know you like curvy. Like, I don't know. Maybe they matched you up with the wrong person, because he was just like all up into like defending Gina. I was like, dang, calm down. So after they talked separately with the men and the women, she finally confronted him about the comment, because she had been stewing on it, but she never confronted him. Immediately, he was like, well, you started it. Like, you the one who told me you weren't attracted to redheads. And, you basically brought up something that he couldn't change. And he also said that he was offended by the term ginger. Somebody told me that in the white community, that redheads are low on the totem pole as far as attractiveness. In today's climate, maybe redheads are more accepted. But back in the day, they used to get made fun of. Like, they used to get talked about real bad back in the day. And people used to say ginger as an offensive term. It wasn't used as a term of endearment. So when she constantly says ginger, he's being offended by what she's saying, because I'm sure, Clint is 40 years old. I'm sure as a child back in the day, in that time, he probably got it relentlessly for being a redhead. He probably constantly got teased. And so you never know. Her calling him a ginger probably could have brought those feelings back. But she's brushing off what he's saying because, oh, I work with redheads. She was talking about how, I wasn't the only one affected by it. Everybody was mad, and I need a man that can read the room. You need to read the room as well. You couldn't read the fact that he was offended. So you also cannot read the room. They kind of had like a standoff, and they went back and forth about it. And she ended up walking away because he wasn't trying to back down off of what he said. And so she wanted him to basically grovel and apologize. He didn't do that. So she, stormed off, and I was mad he didn't back down. Because I was like, it was good for the goose, good for the gander. You can say what you want to say, but he can't say what he want to say. You can't just say whatever you want to people and just expect to, be embraced with open arms. It's crazy because whenever they showed that clip, I always thought he was going to be in the wrong. I always thought I was going to be against him in that situation, but Clint was not wrong. Clint was not wrong. If anything, Gina, you need to apologize for your tone and what you said, and you probably offended all the redheads out there by calling them gingers, okay? Finally, let's get to Kirsten and Shaq. They ended up missing one day of the honeymoon because Shaq had to do his dissertation. I believe he's getting his doctorate, so they had to go to was it Jackson, Mississippi? They had to go to Mississippi, child. I don't blame her for being a little upset about missing a day of their honeymoon. A lot of people was like, she was being a brat about it. I think she handled it very well. I would much rather be in Jamaica than Mississippi, not speaking as somebody from Mississippi. But, I think she handled it well, and she threw a little shade when they were finally leaving, but I think it's warranted. And even he said he had a lot of making up to do. So I didn't feel like it was a huge deal. I don't feel like she was just necessarily holding it over his head. And she was supportive to him while they were there. He said he felt more confident while he was there because she was there rooting for him. So Shaq just comes off as a very genuine person. He seems like he's genuinely interested and wants to make this work and is genuinely trying. So for instance, they went on the four-wheelers, on the ATVs or whatever, and he had been in a very major accident, as we know, and it caused serious trauma for him in his past. And instead of complaining like Mackinley, he actually got on the bike and rode it. Like, he could have complained the whole time. He could have not done it, but he decided to do it for his wife because she's adventurous. She likes to have fun. She likes to, so she's riding fast and, going crazy. And she sees him trailing behind, but that's because he's scared. And so I feel like because he compromised and did the activity, I feel like she could have compromised and, trail behind with him a little bit. I'm not saying you got to just go slow like a turtle, but I don't know. I feel like she could have been a bit more compassionate and compromising in that situation. So at one point he expressed how attracted he is to her, and she said her attraction is growing. She told him to his face that she wasn't attracted to the bald head at first, but everything else about him is, you know, checking off the boxes. So she's becoming more and more attractive. And I don't think she was trying to be nasty, but that situation was very awkward because, you know, basically she's saying she wasn't physically attracted to him. I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't physically attracted to him either, but he growing on me too. I'm not saying I want Shaq at all, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like he's the type of person you have to get to know him, and to know him is to love him, because the more I see of him, the more I do like him, the more he seems like such a caring, compassionate, genuine guy. I could believe that he's growing on her, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it. For her in particular, I don't believe that. I feel like when they talk to each other, they're talking at each other. She said that he does that, but I feel like she does that too. I feel like they're listening to respond. Like, I feel like they're listening just enough just so they can say what they want to say. I don't feel like they're truly getting to know each other. And I feel like he's on defense mode because he knows she doesn't like him. And I feel like she doesn't like him, so she's kind of being overly critical in a way. That's what's creating that wall and that guard. Like, she already has that guard up, but I feel like he's just ready to have an answer and have the right answer because he knows she's not attracted to him. So he's trying to do everything he can to be that, whatever it is she's looking for. But I also feel like when he starts talking, I feel like sometimes she overtalks him. Like, he'll be saying something and she'll just run over it with what she want to say. And so I feel like she could be a little bit more considerate when they're having conversations. So when he's with the other men, he told them that she told him that he complains that he gives Martin Luther King speeches. He gives too many Martin Luther King speeches, but then when she's talking with the women, she said that he plays too much. So which one is it? He can't do nothing. Like, he can't do nothing without you being irritated by it. So when they get together, they talk about what, you know, the men and women discuss with each other. You know, they discuss the Clint and Gina situation. He didn't think Clint was wrong. She thought he was wrong. So they had their little back and forth about that. And he told her that Airris is not attracted to Jasmine. And I was like, why would you say that? Like, okay, yes, I love when couples download each other, but you know she gonna run back and tell Jasmine that, and Jasmine is gonna be hurt and offended, and it's gonna affect their relationship. He ran his mouth too much when he said that, because you could tell by the way Kirsten was reaction. She was like, but he said that he was, and he was like, he just said that to make her feel good. She was like, oh, why lie? So you already know how she about to go relay that back to Jasmine. So she ended up telling him that she feels like he jokes too much, and he's like, for example, like when should I joke? When should I not joke? And she said, like, you know, in the morning when they were eating, she didn't like how he was joking, but he wasn't even doing too much. He was just talking about how she was struggling with her bag. Like, I don't know. I feel like she got offended for absolutely no reason. I feel like if he physically looked how she wanted him to look, I don't feel like that would have offended her at all. I feel like she probably would have joked right along with him. She's just not attracted to him because what? And so she kept telling him, be yourself, be yourself. I don't want you to be someone you're not. But then you're telling him he played too much. So I could understand how he was getting a little frustrated and confused. And, you know, at the end of the conversation, he was like, well, what do you like about me? You keep telling me all the things you don't like. Well, what do you like? He feels like her guard is up and he can't read her. But I can tell you right now, she's just not attracted. And I hate that. I hate that for him because I feel like he truly is giving his all. He truly wants this to work. He likes her, all that. But she's not open to it. And she claims that she is. I feel like she's putting on, like, she be touching him, she be on him, she in front of the cameras and in front of other people. Like, I feel like she does play that role. She'll hold his hand, she'll play the wife role. But I feel like when they're alone, there's a certain coldness that is not adding up with those actions when she's in front of other people. So what I'm saying is, I feel like she's trying to keep up appearances pretty much. And I haven't seen any of the after parties. So y'all let me know down below what he's been saying on after party, because I think he was featured on a couple of them. I just haven't seen them. So y'all let me know. I would love to know a little behind the scenes of what is actually going on there. But anyway, guys, that was my review. Y'all let me know what y'all think down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I would love to hear your opinion, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.